Gilead. I'm a fantasy artist, and I want to talk to you about the March of Robots. The March of Robots is a fun little online event that's been going on for several years, but I had never heard about it until almost the end of this past February, 2018. And my wife, who works at Strong Mind, has some coworkers who were going to participate in the March of Robots, and so I went and checked out the link. And all it is marchofrobots.com. You can read about it. It's a subsidiary of Chocolate Soup, run by a guy named DaCosta. And what you do is you sketch a robot every day for the month of March, post it online in any social media you choose, but it at least has to be on Instagram with the hashtags March of Robots 2018. And that's it. That's the whole deal. Just for fun, and it sounded like fun, and I don't really need much more motivation to do something other than that sounds like fun. However, on this particular month, I was going to be laid up anyways because I had a surgery at the end of February that was going to leave me incapacitated for a month. And so I thought, what could be more easy than sitting around sketching, which turned out not to be the case. It was actually a really rough recovery for me, but who knew? Anyway, so I decided I was going to play. I was going to do the March of Robots. So I sketch all the time. I fill hundreds of sketchbooks, and if you fill hundreds of sketchbooks and you decide one day you want to go back and look at something, it's impossible. Okay, you're going to flip through hundreds of sketchbooks and never find what you're looking for. So eventually I take a razor knife and cut up all my sketchbooks, which drives some people crazy, but you just got to do it. I cut up all the sketchbooks and I sort all my drawings into categories and separate them and put them in little folders. So I did in fact have a folder called Robots of all the little sketches I've done over the time of robots. And some of them are very sketchy sketches, and some of them are more refined sketches. But anyways, there's robots of various kinds, and I decided I've already got a leg up. I can do some of my own sketches, but also when the month began, and I was very sick from having had surgery, I just went online and looked for pictures because it was easier than standing up and getting my notebook. But I went online and found some pictures of some old tin toy robots. I really enjoyed doing these. I know that when I was a kid, I had some toys that were like this, but I couldn't really tell you exactly what they look like. I know they were very brightly painted. They were certainly from Japan, but they were also a bit rusty, so I probably had them secondhand from somebody else even back then. And they're probably worth a fortune, and I'd be a rich man now if I kept them, but who knew that sort of thing when you were a little kid. So I did a couple of these. They were fun. They were nostalgic. And then I found some other robot pictures online. This was some guy that scratch built robots out of various electronics parts. They were really cute. I wish I had his name. I don't. But I felt a little guilty copying somebody else's robots up until now. So I stopped doing that and started working from my own designs in my little folder. By day 5, I was just working off my own ideas. So I'm sketching robots. These are all in charcoal on newsprint and with a white chalk for the bright highlights. This is a little vacuum cleaner robot. And people used to fantasize that we would have robots to do all of our work for us. And so that's just kind of a fun thing. Just like my life drawings, which I do all the time, I sketch on newsprint and just like this. Here's a little Robo Pixie with helicopter blades. That rattling noise in the distance is Minnow the cat playing with this wrapping paper because we just got a package. I'll tell you more about Minnow the cat later. I love the little shiny chrome ideas. These little joints are similar to the joints on a adjustable desk lamp that I own. I have a friend who hates spiders, so I delight in showing her spiders whenever I can. And some other robots, maybe some of them a little boring, but got an excuse. I was sick. So then this guy was kind of fun. I really enjoyed doing him. And I painted a lot of octopuses, so I got accused of doing octopuses. I knew you were going to do an octopus. I didn't really think he was an octopus, but whatever. And then this guy, he looks a lot like a different desk lamp that I have. He even has a little toggle switch for the on and off. But he was fun. And then a friend of mine, she asked me to draw a robot holding a teddy bear. I don't know why. She just, she heard I was doing robots, and she said, "Oh, draw this." And so I did, and it was kind of timely because on this particular day, I had read an article about Toys R Us closing, and so I wrote a little screed about my reactions to that. And I used to work in retail, and anyways, if you want to read it, it's on Gilead Artist on Facebook. You can always, it's a public site, so you can go hear my rants on Facebook if you want to. A little bit not so friendly looking a robot, but most of my robots are kind of goofy looking. He's kind of goofy. He's fun. And sometimes I just start a sketch of anything. I'll just start with like an oval. When I don't really have anything in mind, and you're sitting around going, what am I going to draw? Even while I'm asking, what am I going to draw, I'm making an oval. Because you can go 1,000 different directions with an oval. You can turn that into a bird or a dinosaur or, anything. But on this occasion, it turned into a robot. Here's my Peace Mech Peace Not War. You notice he's wearing hippie sandals, robo sandals down there. This one, yeah, no big deal, this one. And why this doesn't belong in here. This is an oil painting of my cat, Minnow, who's over there rattling paper on the floor. And Minnow's a really sweet cat, so I'm told. I did this oil painting on recycled material. All my oil paintings are on recycled material. This is an old cabinet door that I found somebody had thrown out. And so I did this oil painting, not during March. This was actually from several weeks earlier. The reason I threw in the picture of Minnow the cat is because Minnow ran out the door that night, and I went to grab him so he wouldn't go outside. And there are some cats you can grab, and there are some cats you cannot grab. And Minnow is one of those cats you cannot grab. And he turned around and bit me. I don't know if you can see, there's 2 little red marks. Dug right into the bone in my hand. So there I was, still recovering from one surgery, and went back to the doctor for more medical attention. And had an infection. My hand was swelled up like a balloon and felt like it was on fire for a few days. So the next few drawings were even more challenging to do because my hand hurt. But I did them. I like these little fembot robots. Those are kind of fun. Starting to get a little bit more elaborate with my sketches. Here's a robot listening to the jukebox. Made you wonder what kind of music somebody would listen. What kind of music would a robot pick from the jukebox? I asked that on Facebook, and I was waiting for somebody to finally say, iRobot from the Alan Parsons Project. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Alan Parsons did some albums back in the 70s that were on a theme, and they would make you, they drive you crazy because you'd think that it's a soundtrack to a movie, and it wasn't. It just was an album that was done on a theme, and one of them was iRobot. Nothing to do with the movie, a little bit of something to do with the book. This one is on tracing paper because I've sold the original. The original was I don't know if you can even see it, but it is a penguin. It's a steampunk penguin with what I've decided, there's a gun and a tank, and I've decided that it's a freeze gun. Now there's some relevance to that. I used to do point of sale advertising for 20 years of my life, and every March was in retail, in the world of retail, March was Frozen Food Month. And their mascot was the penguin, and I painted hundreds of penguins, usually every March. And when March rolls around now, even though I'm not in that business, somehow I feel off kilter if I don't draw a picture of a penguin. So I drew a picture of a robo penguin in the middle of this project, and that was kind of fun. And somebody bought it, which is even more fun. Then I went back to my life drawing class. I'd been missing class. I usually have them every Saturday, but I'd been missing because I was sick. But I was still not feeling up to snuff, and I thought it was kind of a boring pose, and I still had robots on the brain, so I just drew a picture of a robot in class. I don't know what the model thought of that. She probably thinks I'm a freak, but so what? So there we. I'm getting more elaborate. I'm starting to have work that I really like here. I mean, the more I do something, the more I get on a roll, and the creative juices really start to flow, and you really start to get ideas and go, hey, this is really cool, and I could do something with this, and I could go somewhere with this. I start thinking of little stories and imagining scenarios. So here's this robot coming down this trail from this spacey-looking castle, and there's flying ships in the background, and I think that would make a great little oil painting that I hope to do at some point. Here's this guy's fun. He's got a little pinwheel, and he's riding a unicycle. I'd love to make a painting of that also, and I think I will. So really on a roll. This I love. It has sort of a pulp magazine cover feel to it. The astronaut with a robot walking away from the spaceship, exploring this alien planet, and really like that. Having a good time now. Things are really snapping along. And not to be a bummer, but my sister, who was fighting cancer for 1.5 years, I got the phone call that she had finally passed away that night, and woke up, and I was extremely depressed and pretty much ready to stop playing, stop doing the robot thing. It was expected news. We knew it was coming, but it was still incredibly devastating. But I had been thinking about the Alan Parsons project, iRobot, and there's one song called "Time on Your Side," which has the line "Gaze at the sky and picture a memory." And I was just naturally thought about that. It was something that I was familiar with when I was a kid, and so it really came to mind. So I kind of drew this picture of the robot gazing at the sky, and it felt right. So I plugged on, kept going. I had a couple rough sketches that I wanted to work from. This is also a little bit sad, but I'd love to make a painting of this one as well, and that one. But this was my story is that they're on an alien planet, and they've been deserted. There's their crew flying away, so they're isolated, stranded. Like I say, I'm in a life drawing class. I go every Saturday. Frequently the model has got this broomstick that they'll stand there and pose with. So I had this drawing from life drawing class, and I just put a robot in it, and came up with this whole story of him, what their relationship is. The reason he's crouching in the first place is because that's where I had some room on the paper. So it's like, what am I going to put? I'm going to put a robot about that big, but I kind of was liking these humanoid robots, so I had him crouching down so he fits in that space, and he's explaining something to her, telling her about her homeland, which is off beyond the horizon. I wrote a little, not a full story. I'm not much of a writer, but I wrote a little snippet of a story, and you can see that on my Facebook page, Gilead Artist on Facebook. And that, if you were counting, actually gets us to 32 robots. There was a bonus one in the middle, but I did another bonus robot for the next day. This is a postbot delivering the mail and getting chased by dogs, as happens everywhere. So that was it. That was the March of Robots, and that was the whole thing. And I had a great time, and I was glad that I did it, even though it was a fairly rough month for me otherwise. But that kept me focused and otherwise, amused and occupied. Then, unexpectedly, I got an email from the host of the March of Robots informing me that I had won. I had won a brand new Wacom. I I didn't even know there was something to win or that there was a contest of any kind, but it turns out that if you participated in the project and posted online and included the links, you got entered into a drawing, and they gave away several Wacom. Wacom, which I also didn't know, was the sponsor of the whole thing. So Wacom sent me a brand new Wacom, and I love it. I have not used it yet. It just came in the mail yesterday, but I will be using it because watch how I bring this all the way back around. I intend, now that I've got all this material to work with, to go ahead and make a robots coloring book to add to the series of Gilead's Goblins coloring books. And that's going to take a lot of digital work in addition to my traditional work. It's all kind of combined. And so I will have a very good use for this, and I love it. And thank you very much to the host of March of Robots and to Wacom. That was unexpected and very delightful, and I had a good time, and I'm going to do it again next year. So, thank you very much.